Hello, this is how to install kde-builder on Arch Linux. This is a fresh installation of the Arch Linux operating system. I have KDE Plasma installed. I have used Arch installed in order to install KDE Plasma. And we're going to set up the kde-builder, which is a build framework for building KDE software from Git repositories. In the KDE webpage, kde.org, get involved in the main menu. Scroll down where it says development. So the chapter development under the chapter ways to contribute. Then confirm that your operating system is okay. So I'm using Arch Linux, which is a rolling release style Linux operating system. And I'm using a hardware computer or a virtual machine. Next up, I'm going to install kde-builder. Okay, so the goal for kde-builder is for you to be able to build straight from Git master branch various KDE projects. If you're going to build some KDE applications that require older versions of the KDE frameworks, you might escape with just having Arch Linux, make sure it's up to date, and then git clone that the KDE Git repository for that application, and then build it such that the application uses the KDE frameworks and other KDE libraries, the versions that are installed from Arch Linux binary packages. But to be extra safe, the safest way to do it is to build your KDE application from Git master branch, but also to build all of the other dependencies that are part of KDE straight from Git master branches also. So all of the KDE frameworks, other KDE libraries, theming, etc. So this is where kde-builder, the framework, comes to help, because it knows how to build each of the KDE Git repositories correctly and knows the dependencies between KDE Git repositories. So if you want, for instance, to build a KDE calculator application, kcalc, from Git master branch, but also to build all of its dependency KDE projects, so all of the KDE frameworks that kcalc depends on, also from the latest version from Git, then kde-builder knows how to build kcalc independently, but also knows that kcalc depends on extra CMake modules, on kconfig, etc., other KDE Git repositories, and knows how to build those correctly. Okay, let's follow the tutorial here. The tutorial says that you are going to need ample space on your disks if you want to build tens of KDE Git repositories, which we do. We have 200 gigabytes of NVMe. So let's start with the first incantation. We want curl bash git. So it asks for the password of my Linux user, which is named administrator, in order to run using sudo the installation of git, dbus, python, python yaml, python set proc title. I want to proceed with the installation. And then it git clone the KDE Git repository kde-builder, but it complains that the path environment variable is incorrect. We're using the Arch Linux distribution, and all Linux distributions should have both ~bin and ~local/bin in the path environment variable. So let's try to fix this issue. It says that we want to add ~/.local/bin to the path environment variable. Let's see how that is being done on some Linux operating systems. Because the directory ~/.local/bin does not exist by default, when you create a directory and if you reboot the computer or you log out and log in with your user account, then the path environment variable will start containing the directory ~/.local/bin. But this doesn't seem to be the case for the Linux operating systems in the Arch Linux family. Let's prove that. Let's see all of the hidden files in my home directory, which are related to bash configuration. There's a bash rc, a bash profile. There's no ~/.profile file. So we're going to look at both these files. So bash profile says that if the file exists, then its source is the bash rc. And the file bash rc says that bash rc is for running interactively. If you're not running interactively, nothing will happen. And if you're running interactively, it's going to set the prompt and two aliases. So we want, even if we run interactively or not, we want the path environment variable to also contain ~/.local/bin. So that would be, we want to edit the bash rc file. Where are you? And around here, we want to export path equals the current value of the variable path. And then in addition, we also want ~/.local/bin. Let's prove that we edited correctly the file. So we have just created a new bash session. And the environment variable path ends correctly as we wanted with ~/.local/bin. So that was the change that we were after. Let's look at the file again. So we have just added a new line after this block of comments, and then export space uppercase letters PATH equals $PATH colon, and then the new directory ~/.local/bin. And then you either create a new tab in your console terminal emulator, or you log out and log in, or restart the computer, or you just close all terminal instances and start new ones. Okay, I'm going to actually run everything again, this block of 3 lines, and see what happens. Okay, so it says that it has installed some binary packages from Arch Linux repositories. It has git cloned the repository for this project, which is kde-builder. It saw that the path environment variable is correct, and then it has created a number of symbolic links such that there's a desktop file, an app icon, and the executable is in one of the directories in the path environment variable. There's just one executable that we care about, which is called kde-builder. So kd-builder, this one. Whoa, I'm not sure what happened there. I expected it to complain that no command line parameter was provided, and it would provide the same output as if we called the command line kd-builder-help. Okay, so the documentation for command line parameters is at this website. We will look over the command line parameters in a couple of minutes, but until then we need to finish installing kde-builder correctly, and we need to run our first builds of KD Git repositories using kde-builder to make sure that kde-builder has been installed correctly. Okay, so next up we want a configuration file. It says that this configuration file has been created, tilde/.config/kd-builder.yaml. Let's see how the configuration file looks like. So it's in YAML format. These are the default values. There's not much to change in here. If your computer is not powerful enough, you might decrease the number of CPU threads that are being used by kde-builder and its children processes. So by default, auto probably is the same number of CPU threads as your CPU, which in my case is 8. So you might want to decrease that number to 7, for instance, in my case, because I'm in a virtual machine. So if my virtual machine will behave not great, and too much of the CPU percentage is going to be used by kde-builder, then I'm going to decrease this number from auto. I'm going to go to the number of CPUs -1, vCPUs, so CPU threads. Okay, so that change would be just to put a 7 here. And then if I want to run the generated executables, so the .so files and the actual executable files, so the binaries that are being compiled, if I want to run them using the GDB debugger, or if front end over it, such as an integrated development environment, then I should change the CMake build type from rel with debinfo, which is release with debug symbols, to just debug, which both contains debug symbols and doesn't contain optimizations, which will improve your experience inside the debugger, in the sense that the debugger will not jump from line 7 to line 23, then back to line 8, etc., all over the place, because of optimizations and inlining, etc. Okay, but we're not going to debug this time, so we can keep rel with debinfo here. And then that would be about it for the configuration file. Next up, it says that we are using a Linux operating system from the Debian family, then we need to do an additional step. It's not the case. Next up, kde-builder will try to install all of the non-KDE software from Arch Linux binary packages. So that's the split that we have here. By default, KDE software will come from the directory tilde/kd/usr and will be built using kde-builder. Non-KDE software, such as all of the Qt modules, Qt 6, Qt 5, all of the other possible dependencies, I know, ICU, encryption libraries, compression libraries, file format libraries, etc. All of those will come from Arch Linux binary packages. And with this step, we're going to install the needed Arch Linux binary packages such that we can build all of the KDE frameworks, at least, using kde-builder from source. Let's see how that works. So that tries to install packages, and that's not okay. It should not install packages. It should update all of the installed packages and only then install packages. So let's not do that. Sudo pacman minus uppercase s, lowercase y, lowercase u. This is going to take quite a while. Thousands of packages will be probably updated. Okay, so it needs to install many binary packages because we're on Arch Linux. It's a rolling release distribution, which means that each time any of the projects does a final release version, so not a beta or an alpha, but an actual release, that release will be packaged as a Arch Linux binary package. And that means that if you're not upgrading for 2 weeks, if you're upgrading your operating system, you're going to find hundreds of binary packages newer inside the Arch Linux binary package repositories. Okay, and we have installed Arch Linux in such a way that thousands of packages are installed because we have installed the KDE Plasma 6 desktop and other applications. Yeah, so because it's a rolling release and micro updates might happen. So for instance, for 2 weeks, you're not installing any binary packages from Arch Linux, but then after 2 weeks, you want to install a binary package. Meanwhile, the Qt version might be bumped from 6.8 to 6.9.1, which is a major upgrade in the case of Qt. And then maybe the package that you want to install depends on Qt 6.9.1, but you only have Qt 6.8 on your system. Who knows what might happen? So the way to do it is to actually go pacman minus uppercase s, lowercase yu, and then pacman minus uppercase s to install a package. Okay, and it actually upgraded the Linux kernel, so we should restart the computer. So I'll reboot and I'll be back. So I have installed all of Arch Linux binary package updates, and now the computer won't start. I restarted and something's wrong with the bootloader. Yeah, I did skip a step here. I should have not upgraded my Arch Linux installation before reading the homepage. So I should have navigated using a web browser towards the official Arch Linux webpage and then look at the important announcements and see if in the last 3-4 weeks there was a very important issue that needs to be handled manually after you upgrade, such that you don't get in a situation where, for instance, your computer refuses to boot. Let's see what can be done. It just enters the BIOS. I'm not sure what I did there. Secure boot continues to be disabled, so no place for me to be here. Restart again. And now the bootloader still exists, which is systemd-boot. But no EFI payload probably is there. Or it is. Yeah, it is because there's boot.c. Who knows? So something's happening between systemd-boot, the thing that actually works, UEFI, which actually works, and then the I know, the boot directory, the initial RAM disk, something's wrong there. So I'll need to actually revert the virtual machine from snapshot, I guess. What else can I do? So Control left, Alt left to exit the grub and force off. And then snapshots and revert. And then I'm going to start a virtual machine. I'll be back in the same place. I will not be able to update the system, or I should install all of the missing updates except the kernel mode bits. So not, I know, the Linux kernel related kernel mode binary packages. I have navigated to the official website of Arch Linux, archlinux.org, and there's no latest news in here about an update that might break booting or require manual intervention. I installed the Arch Linux virtual machine in the last 30 days. So might be Waydroid requires manual intervention. No, I don't have Waydroid installed. I don't have Dovecot installed. And we're at the start of August. I don't have Zabbix installed. Maybe it's this one, but then the version of the ISO from which I installed the Arch Linux virtual machine is way, way newer than June 2025. So it's a very important issue, in my opinion, for Arch Linux. I have seen this thing on real hardware and on virtual machines, and I don't see it advertised in here. Next up, let's actually install all of the updates, but skip the ones that are related to Linux. Let's see how we do that. Let's see the steps that I'm going to take. I could either go pacman syu and not accept, or install the metadata and ask which are the packages that have newer versions. So the metadata has been downloaded. What is Vulkan Mesa device select? Maybe this is the bug. Let's accept and then let's not proceed here. Okay. Let's take the list of packages that needs to be updated and see how we can edit those such that they become a pacman -s install command line. Let's see if pacman knows how to install such long names for packages. Nope, it doesn't know. What about the shorter ones? Nope, not like this. So the equivalent would be probably at least upgradable in the Debian world. So let's see what pacman -uppercase q lowercase u does. Yeah, I could use this. How do I do it though? Shift click, right click, copy. Okay, so we need to delete starting from the space everything. So find with regular expressions, \s, and then something, and then $sign. Replace all of this with nothing, and we get to just a list of packages. Okay, and now we need to remove the ones that are kernel mode. At least the ones that will modify the initial RAM disk. Who knows what that might be. Once the initial RAM disk is modified, then we're going to be in a bad position. So certainly nothing with Linux at the start of the name. So from the list, I have only removed the packages with names starting with Linux, which is the Linux kernel image and then some firmware. And then using regular expressions, I have replaced the start of the line with pacman minus uppercase S and then a space. Let's see if we're lucky or not, if we'll be able to restart the computer. Or maybe I'll just not restart the computer even after I install the updates. So let's see what gives. ALSA card profiles. AT. Etica. So I need to press, in this case, enter, I don't know, 100 times. Maybe more. 236 times. It seems that this thing, I'll need to run this huge list of command lines multiple times because I didn't just by accident have the correct order between dependencies, and now I get to issues like this where it's trying to install the GSM package and says that it cannot because that would break pipewire. So the first time probably, I know, 80% of the packages will be installed correctly, and then the second time the next 80%, the next 80%, etc. So this is going to take an hour. This idea was not that great because I have installed the binary package OS3, and that has also recreated the initial RAM disk. Unexpected end of file while looking for matching nothing. For matching double quotes. Command failed to execute correctly. Oh. So no rebooting from now on, I guess. I'm not that sure why an OS3 update would require rebuilding the initial RAM disk. OS3 is probably installed just such that it's easier for you to install Flatpak and therefore applications from FlatHub. This is straight vanilla. Arch Linux is not immutable, so doesn't really use OS3 if you're not using Flatpak. Okay, so the first try has finished. There were some packages that couldn't be installed, something related to Vulkan, something related to Poplar, something related to GStreamer, something related to Pipewire. But the vast majority of the packages that actually affect us when we build KDE software, all of the Qt libraries, the KDE frameworks, etc., have been upgraded and installed correctly. So let's continue. So we did install part of KDE Builder, but then we reverted the snapshot of the virtual machine. So we'll need to redo all of the steps for installing KDE Builder. And maybe we should just start with adding to the path environment variable directory /.local/bin. So make sure you're not a user root. And let's do the entire procedure. So we wanted to actually edit the bashrc file. Okay. Before where it's no op because it's not run interactively. We want both types of bash instances, even if they're interactive or if they're not, to also consider the files that exist in /.local/bin. So that would be export, environment variable path, previous version, colon, /.local/bin, y, let's try it. And it's correct. Okay. So the first block of 3 lines that we need to copy, paste, and run. And everything was correct. We're generating the configuration file. Again, we don't need to edit it this time. And now we're trying to install packages from the Arch Linux repositories. Okay. Something failed. Says that there's no binary package Qt5 minus WebSockets. So if that's actually true, then we should do a git commit where from this list we remove the package that doesn't exist anymore, which is Qt5 minus WebSockets, this guy. And then we should do a git commit and a merge request. Because that package is missing, this long command line has failed, and now kde-builder will try to install each and one package individually. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay, so it's using --no confirm, which means that we don't need to press the Y, whatever, the enter key a bunch of times for each and every one of the packages that get individually installed. And if one of the packages doesn't exist or additional packages need to be installed by kde-builder --install -distro -packages, then there's this note here, a chance to contribute. You will need to create a, you should help everybody by fixing the issue. And that can be done by editing the KDE Git repository in van.kde.org/sysadmin/repo-metadata. There's a directory there, distro dependencies, and you're going to select the file for your Linux operating system. So in this case, is this file arch.ini. You search the package that we want to remove, which I don't know what the name was. WebSockets, this guy. So we remove the line 48, do a git commit, and then a merge request. Okay, so everything worked correctly, and now kde-builder reminds us again that all of the packages could be installed correctly except this one, Qt5 minus WebSockets. Okay, at this point, kde-builder was installed correctly, and it's time for us to check if that's actually the case. We can reboot the computer, but just not in my case, because I might not be able to start the computer. And let's do our incantations. The order in which I run the command kde-builder is the following. First of all, I want kde-builder to just build a very small number of KDE Git repositories to make sure that kde-builder runs. One of the smallest number of KDE Git repositories gets built if you go kde-builder kconfig. So this is a KDE Git repository, a KDE framework version 6 kconfig, only depends on the other KDE framework extra CMake modules. And in order for kde-builder to figure out the dependencies between various KDE Git repositories, there's also this KDE Git repo that gets git cloned sysadmin repo metadata. So in total, kde-builder, when you run it with command line parameter kconfig, will do 3 times git clone for sysadmin repo metadata, extra CMake modules, and kconfig. And for ECM and kconfig, it's going to run the building, which is the configure step, which generates the Ninja build files, building or compiling, and then installing. Running CMake and building takes place in the directory ~kd /build. Git cloning takes place in the directory ~kd/src. So for instance, for ECM extra CMake modules, this is the directory where the git clone took part. Nothing else is being done here, just git operations, git clone, git fetch, git stash, etc. And then in the build directory, the operations that are related to CMake generation and the actual building takes place. So code generation, Qt MOC generation, UIC generation, RCC generation, all of the generations possible, and then compiling C++ source code and building QML, whatever that is. And then at the final step, installing takes place, which takes files from here, ~kd/build, the name of the KDE Git repository, and the files are being copied towards ~kd/usr. So kde-builder doesn't touch anything outside your home directory, doesn't ever require, so should not require sudo powers, which makes it very, very safe. If you want to get rid of all traces of kde-builder, you should just delete the directory ~kd. There is at least one exception to this rule, which is if you want to install in ~kd a full KDE Plasma 6 Wayland and X11 session, but you also want to log into that session from your desktop manager from SDDM. So SDDM doesn't know how to read files inside your user's home directory, and there should be a way for you to tell SDDM to start the new fresh KDE Plasma session built from scratch from source using kde-builder, but that was installed in ~kd/usr in your home directory. And kde-builder has support for such a thing. Okay, the fact that the command line kde-builder kconfig has finished correctly, no errors, no anything, means that kde-builder has been installed correctly, that your Arch Linux operating system is okay, and the kde-builder is not broken and has the correct list of Arch Linux binary packages to install. So all of the signs are there. kde-builder seems to have been installed correctly. After this one, my next step after kconfig is kcalc, which is a desktop Qt widgets application, is the calculator application, which will build many KDE frameworks, I know 26 of them. We'll also build some KDE libraries that are not yet frameworks, and we'll also build Git repositories that are outside of the KDE community, such as Wayland protocols in this case, and Wayland itself. Okay, so this is an important test. Make sure that many of the important KDE frameworks build correctly, and makes sure that kconfig was built correctly, which means that Qt widgets applications are built correctly, and we'll be able to actually test something by running the kcalc executable that we have built using kde-builder. So the command line kde-builder space kcalc has finished correctly, which means that the application has been built and installed in the correct directory, ~kd/usr/bin/kcalc. This file is the entry point, the executable of the graphical user interface application. In order to run it, this is the command line that you want, kd-builder -run kcalc. What this does is that it sets some environment variables, and then it starts this file, ~kd/usr/bin/kcalc. The application runs correctly. And an alternative way to kd-builder -run is to actually you do manually whatever kd-builder -run kcalc does, which is the following two command lines. Source, because we're using bash, ~kd/build kcalc, so the name of the module that we have built, and then there's a file in there, prefix.sh, that looks like this. It just sets some environment variables, exports them, uses bash syntax. So source ~kd/build/kcalc, and the name of the file is prefix.sh. And then you will be able to just start kcalc because the first directory in the path environment variable is going to be what we expect, which is ~kd/usr/bin. This is done on the first line of the prefix.sh file, where to the existing value of the environment variable path, the directory ~kd/usr/bin is being prepended. Or you can provide the full path to the file. Let's see if we can copy the path. So copy location, ~kd/usr/bin/kcalc. And this is the executable being run. Okay, so that means that we know how to also build KDE applications, in this case applications using Qt widgets, not using QML. kde-builder builds them correctly, installs them correctly, and runs them correctly. We can also run the application without using kde-builder by sourcing the file prefix.sh from the build directory of that application, and then by just writing the name of the executable file. We can just go kcalc like this, and the correct file will be started, which is this file, because this directory is the first in the path environment variable. Okay. After this, my next steps are like this: kd-builder frameworks. I want to build all of the KD frameworks and make sure that they are installed in tilde/kd/usr. 20 of these have already been built and installed correctly, so kde-builder does build, doesn't do rebuild, so it doesn't automatically git clone, delete the build directory, recreate the build directory, run a full CMake configure, etc. building and installing, but it does an incremental build by default, which means that when it tries to build kicon themes, it takes 0 seconds to actually compile and install, because kicon themes was built correctly from the correct Git branch, from the correct source directory a few moments ago, and there were no other Git commits in the Git repository between that moment when a full build was performed as part of building kcalc and now when we want the same KD Git repository to be built a second time, but this time for the group of modules named frameworks. Using kde-builder, you can build either the name of one module or the name of a group of modules. So you can either build kcalc, which is a project, or you can build frameworks, which is a group of projects. Okay, but building kcalc was building 26 Git repositories, whereas frameworks are all of the KD6 frameworks, which are more than 70. So that's why the kde-builder knows that it needs to build 80 Git repositories. So it's going to take significantly longer to build all of the frameworks than to build just kcalc. 80 modules versus 26. The next command line that I'm going to run is kde-builder space plasma minus integration, which will build all of the needed KD Git repositories, just such as that kcalc is correctly integrated to the KD Plasma desktop. So that means icon themes, that means Qt themes, color schemes, and all other things that will make kcalc just behave correctly inside the KD Plasma desktop and use the configurations that I perform in the system settings application. You always need to consider that you have two different directories that you're running stuff from. There's tilde/kd/usr, and then there's /usr. So in this example, KD Plasma runs from /usr, but kcalc runs from tilde/kd/usr. System settings runs from /usr, but the Qt widgets theme runs from tilde/kd/usr. So there needs to be a correct integration between these two different worlds. And you need to think a bit which files from which directory come or should come, because you're mixing and matching these. the best thing to do is to not really mix in the same process, in the same, for instance, kcalc process, files from /usr and files from tilde/kd/usr. And that is being done by actually building everything, at least all of the KD Git repositories from using kde-builder from Git branches. But all of these mixing is about KD source code. There's no problem if you're taking Qt from /usr, and it's actually what we recommend. That's why when we say that we recommend a certain number of Linux operating systems, that's because you should, so we recommend that you use the Qt version that's already installed on your Linux operating system. So Qt is taken from /usr, all of the other dependencies that are not Qt nor KD from /usr, or everything that's KD in the best case scenario should be from tilde/kd/usr. But you can also mix and match in the sense that there might be situation where you want to contribute to a KD project and the developers in that KD project tell you, do not build the KD frameworks, just make sure you're using Arch Linux or OpenSUSE Tumbleweed or maybe Fedora KD, and make sure that your operating system is up to date, and this will make that the KD frameworks that are installed inside /usr are new enough for that project. And in this case, you're just going to build the Git repository of that project, or very immediate short number of dependencies, not all of the KD frameworks. But that's a very special advanced scenario where you intentionally are using KD frameworks from /usr. The simplest and normal case, at least when you're starting developing for KD, is to have everything, all of the KD things from tilde/kd/usr. Okay. That being said, there's in here a chapter about setting up Qt, and this confuses a number of people that start programming for KD. Everything that's said in here is about the case where you're using other Linux operating systems than the ones that we recommend. So again, recommendations are best if it's rolling release, best if it's Arch Linux, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, or Fedora KD. If you can, on a hardware computer, if not on a virtual machine. And this chapter, setting up Qt, is when the Qt version that's inside /usr is too old. And in that case, you can use Linux containers, Docker or Podman. There's the Qt project has a website, qt.io. In there, you create an online account, and using that, you can download using a special graphical user interface application created by the Qt community that's called the Qt Online Installer. You can install different versions of Qt, the newest release of Qt, but also the previous version, the next version, beta versions, etc. Or you can just build from source Qt 6 using kde-builder. But all of these are very advanced scenarios, and the default scenario and recommended again is to just respect the chapter operating system from the wiki page community.kde.org/get-involved/development. In short, ignore the chapter setting up Qt and respect the chapter operating system. So don't install Qt other than using the binary packages from your Linux operating system only in /usr, and you don't really need to do anything special because kd-builder knows how to install all of the correct Qt packages. at this step, kd minus builder space minus minus install minus distro minus packages. So unfortunately, this documentation page is 2 pages in one, is how to start contributing to KDE, and then advanced topics about how you can set up KDE Builder, how you can set up Qt for development, etc. So we should ignore the advanced topics and look at the parts of this page which are for people that want to start contributing to the KDE by programming and by using C++ and Qt widgets and QML. Okay, and for now we're just using everything in read-only mode, in the sense that we don't really want to write to the KDE Git repositories. We want to be able to read from them, but we don't want to write to them. So writing to the KDE Git repositories that are hosted at invent.kde.org and use GitLab is done by doing git commits and then doing GitLab merge requests. That's a different topic, not an advanced one, but different from installing KDE Builder. So this chapter, configuring Git, should not be part of KDE Builder setup chapter. Okay, and then one time you should make sure that there's nothing that's making the building process take extra time. So that would be if somehow you have real-time monitoring software that monitors against, IDS, intruder detection system, or an antivirus. Either disable those or uninstall those, or make sure that at least the directory ~kd is excluded from the active protection. And then also, if you have file indexing software for quick search and the search index is being maintained automatically, then you should tell that software to exclude ~kd, because thousands of files appear and disappear from ~kd /build directory each second. There's a ton of churn of files and you're not interested to search into this directory. Your files, your documents and images and videos do not belong in ~kd directory. Okay, so let's see if that's the case. So it says that we should search for index. Okay, so search, file search, and that says that file indexing should be either disabled or we should exclude the directory ~kd. And we can see that it's the real-time indexing only does things in the directory ~kd, so it does a ton of churn for 0 reasons. I actually disable file indexing because I don't use it. But if you want to respect the tutorial, you should add a new rule where it says ~kd not indexed. Let's do that. So click on the button Stop Indexing a Folder and make that ~kd. Apply. Okay, so this should increase the compilation speed significantly. And you will be able to see that the background indexer for the full text search, whatever, for the search, file search, is idle most of the time, not overwhelmed with activity. Okay. And it says that the next step would be to use KDE Builder to build software. We built kcalc. We were able to run kcalc. Building and running Plasma is an advanced topic. I suggest that for a number of months when you start programming for KDE, you ignore the KDE Git repositories, which are incredibly complex, such as the Plasma Desktop, the Plasma Mobile, other shells such as the big screen one, or KIO or KParts. So the complex KDE Git repositories that require writing files to /usr in this case for KDE Plasma, because probably you want to log into the KDE Plasma session from SDDM, the desktop manager. Complex software that requires editing the session, the dbus session, such that various processes are activated via dbus, but from tilde/kde/usr, not from /usr. I would totally not recommend that you start doing that. I recommend that you start contributing a bit to the wiki pages, to the documentation, to the websites. There's something that's not very up to date on a number of KDE websites for sure. You can update those. And then I would start with the simplest KDE Git repositories, which is desktop applications, eventually desktop applications that have fewer dependencies, not the personal information suite ones. For instance, you can go apps.kde.org and sort the applications by popularity, but ascending, which means you might be able to start working on an application that has a very small number of users, which this application might not have this many Git commits per year, and a bit of help is always welcome in those places. You could improve the packaging, the FlatHub packaging, the Snap packaging, the Linux packaging, the Windows packaging, the app image, Linux app image packaging, the macOS packaging. I know you could improve the project's metadata. You could improve the project's page in here in apps.kde.org. So for instance, let's say that you want to help with the application, which one? Color fill, this guy, a game. Okay, is this web page apps.kde.org/colorfill as perfect as the one from applications that are more popular, such as Gwenview? I don't know. They're not, right? Gwenview has icons, it has screenshots, whereas Colorfill doesn't have screenshots. Gwenview has a button to install on Linux, Colorfill doesn't have. So the description is maybe too short for Colorfill. And if you have an application, a KDE application that you want to improve, an application that you already use, maybe you want to contribute for a while to that application, then start digging into that application. But if the application is extremely mature, you should expect to invest quite some time before you create your merge request, and invest quite some time between you are able to create merge requests, not just the first one, but also the next ones. And you might expect some time to pass between when you create the merge request and the merge request is being accepted. That's why it's everything is just easier in applications that have less users, and less git commits and less maintainers and less attention paid to them. Okay, so let's see what the tutorial says. So we're ignoring building Plasma because this is an advanced topic. We're ignoring Plasma Mobile because this is an advanced topic. It also tells you how to build using kde-builder directories that don't have a Git repository yet. Okay, then it talks about how to edit the application. So make sure that your changes to the application are not lost. So like in this case, you're building kcalc, you're running it, it's okay, but then you want to fix an issue. Maybe you want to change a string in there, a text. Do that change, do a git commit with that change, but then where you're building kcalc again, an important command line parameter for kde-builder is no include dependencies, such that just kcalc is being built, not extra CMake modules and kconfig, etc., which will decrease the build time significantly. kde-builder does build, incremental build, not rebuild, but still it will look at the 27 dependencies of kcalc. But with the command line parameter no include dependencies, it will look just at kcalc. So it's a decrease in compilation time 27 times, right? And then there's also the command line parameter -no -src. If sometimes kde-builder will might modify your source code changes. So if you make changes to the kcalc Git repository, those changes might get changed because you maybe didn't do a git commit yet, maybe you're not using a git branch yet. So always make sure when you're using kde-builder a second time on a Git repository that you have edited, you probably want -no -src command line parameter to kde-builder. Okay, and then this talks about how you can write to the KDE Git repositories, which is not the topic of installing kde-builder, so we're going to ignore this. Okay. The pretend is similar to a dry run. It has this alias. So there are some command line executables, I know apt, for instance, in the Debian world, that have a command line parameter similar to pretend or dry run, which will make the command line do almost everything, but not do any actual important changes to your computer. Like in the case of apt, it will tell you if you go apt install dry run kcalc, it will say in order to install kcalc, I'm going to also install libgmp. Do you want to continue? Yes. And even if you press yes, it will not install anything on your computer because you're just pretending. So a similar command line parameter is pretend for kde-builder. It will tell you which modules will be built in which order and what's going to be done for each module, but it won't actually do Git operations, building and installing. No src, an important command line flag. Make sure that kde-builder doesn't do Git operations on kcalc, doesn't do git stash, doesn't do git revert, doesn't do git fetch, doesn't do whatever. Nothing inside the tilde/kd/src directory where kde-builder only does Git operations. No include dependencies, make sure building is faster. You're running with -run. Okay, if you want to do a very complete build, so you want not an incremental build, you don't want even a rebuild, you want something way more drastic than a rebuild, then the steps would be like this. In the case of kcalc, so we go to the ~kd/src directory. In here you have a git clone of kcalc. Again, it's a git clone, it's just git operations. You can inspect those. Let's open a terminal in here and actually see. How do we do that? More, show menu bar with all actions, tools. I don't know. Where can I show the terminal? F4. Okay, and then you do git operations in here. There's no git GUI. How do we fix this? Says that wish is not found. There's no wish. PK. Okay. This is the git operation fetch. So git fetch or git fetch origin. There's just one remote that's called origin. It was created by kde-builder when it did git clone. It did a complete git clone with all of the branches. We're currently on a git commit. We're pointing at this git commit both using the local git master branch, but also using the remote origin master branch. Okay, so no need to actually touch the ~kd/src directory if you want a very full rebuild. But you actually want to delete the entire directory for the module kcalc inside ~kd/build. So the directory ~kd/build/kcalc, we're just going to delete it. Shift delete permanently. And then also we're going to use the --refresh build command line parameter for making sure kde-builder doesn't do an incremental build, but actually does a rebuild. And then another command line parameter that's interesting to me is --debug, which makes the standard output to be more verbose. For instance, when building a KD Git repository, by default kde-builder only writes 7 lines. But if you go --debug, it will be verbose debugging. You will see each invocation of GCC, etc. So you will get a ton of output. It's not going to build any other Git repository but kcalc. It doesn't touch the source code in the chance that you have, in the case that you have edited the kcalc source code inside ~kd/src/kcalc, where you should edit it. Refresh build to not do incremental build but a full rebuild. --debug for extra verbose output. And this is the install step where it writes into ~kd/usr directory. And then you can run as usual, kde-builder --run kcalc. Okay, at this point, you should be able to build most KD Git repositories, at least for graphical user interface applications, so Qt widgets or QML. You should be able to test that the applications build correctly and run correctly and look correctly and fonts are not missing, images are not missing, texts are okay, you might already get ideas for contributing. Next step would be to actually start writing to the KDE Git repositories. That requires that you create a number of online accounts, starting with an email address, then an account on the single sign-on server that we have, which is called identity.kde.org. Get an GitLab account for KDE inside invent.kde.org. Start doing git commits locally, start pushing your git commits, but for a while you're going to use GitLab to fork the original Git repositories. So instead of the kcalc original repository, you will have a repository inside invent.kde.org under your username. And in there, it's recommended that branches have a certain naming, like work and then your username. And then you would need to add a second remote, not just origin. You'll have another one that's called fork. You're pushing to fork. From fork, you're creating merge requests using GitLab, etc. So this is it. This is how you set up KDE Builder on Arch Linux. We had some Arch Linuxy issues though. Thank you.